better than Bohemian Rhapsody. It's all you really want, right? Okay. Hi.
It's a musical,
Yeah,
which works.
an actual musical. So I was like, all right, I was down. But the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, they're going like full Hollywood musical in this. All right, I'm down. It's been a while since I've seen one of those.
Me too.
So that's not a Disney movie. So like, all
Seriously.
right, cool. I'll go with it. Let's see where this goes. And you know what? It's actually pretty good. I like this movie.
Good. I really enjoyed it too. There were different things that I appreciated about it. Yes, it does fall into some of the music artist biopic tropes and cliches, but it does a few things that I really liked. One, like I said, it's a musical, which for Elton John works extremely well. Two, it is kind of told a little, mostly in flashbacks from the point where he's in rehab, which makes a lot of sense and works very well, because when you're going through a time when you're trying to change for the better, you do need to reflect on your past and what brought you to that point. So I, like, when it opened, I honestly thought he was going on stage, and he walks into a meeting at
A group counseling session.
Yes.
Or group therapy session. Honestly, my thought during that was like, well, why doesn't anyone else get to talk? What about Jerry over there? Jerry doesn't have fucking horns. Does he get a word in? Elton? Anyway.
Well, it's
I know it's a movie. I was just making a joke.
it's Elton's story, and in group meetings, it's discouraged to have crosstalk.
True. That being said, it's more like, oh, great, it's Listen to Ellen week. All right. Strap in, guys. We'll talk about his stuff next week.
The director also had a very light but also competent touch with the transitions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think what I think really boils down to is this movie just has more going for it. And it's impossible not to compare this to Bohemian Rhapsody because it's the same director. Dexter Fletcher, I think his name is.
Good job.
Thank you, I know.
You got one.
Thank you, I'll take it. Dexter Fletcher, who also took over for Bryan Singer after he was asked to leave Bohemian Rhapsody. So you definitely see the stylistic similarities between the two films, and a lot of the story beats are pretty much the same. But really what sets this one apart is, one, it has more of a visual identity compared to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yes.
There's more going for it. You can tell Elton John actually let them say more stuff about his life than they did in Bohemian Rhapsody, where they played so safe.
Well, he's one of the executive producers, and so is his husband.
Well, I mean, it's like, well, the same. Again, you have to compare the two because he has some issue with Bohemian Rhapsody is the fact that they pretty much get the final say in what goes in the movie and what doesn't. And Queen played so goddamn safe, there was nothing to it. This one, you can tell Elton John gave the green light to more things. Apparently not the best stuff, from what I looked up later. Because I found, like, again, I just looked up, like, how accurate is this? It's like, they cut out, like, the best shit that actually happened. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of a shame. But whatever, for what's there, it works really well. And Taron Egerton does a fantastic job.
He actually does his own singing, and I was very impressed. He captured the vulnerability and the tonality that Elton John brings to a lot of his songs, but it didn't sound exactly like Elton John, which was a fine line to walk. Very impressive, I thought.
No, like, I think you listen to Taron Egerton talk about this movie too. You can, he said this was me. That kind of whole Oscar bait speech that a lot of actors do. But here you can tell he means it. Apparently, he also cried when he saw the premiere for this movie, and you can tell he put a lot of his heart and soul into this, and it shows. He was clearly very passionate about this, and he carried it into the film. He does a fantastic fucking job. He's like, his performance makes the movie pretty much.
Yes, I've heard some early Oscar buzz for his performance in this, if this film can stay in the public memory.
It probably will. I would be shocked if this thing gets some kind of something, because even if it was a bad movie of Elton John, it would still get nominated for something like best makeup or something.
Costumes.
Or best costumes. One of those. Just give me an Oscar, please. Awards.
Oh, speaking of costumes, another little thing that I noticed and appreciated from a visual storytelling perspective was, again, when it starts, he's in his full larger-than-life costume and accessories and regalia, horns, wings, full-on orange jumpsuit, glitter, whole 9 yards. And the further along he gets in telling his story in this group meeting, the more open he becomes and the more vulnerable he becomes, the more layers he takes off. I thought that was a nice visual touch.
Yeah, like there's a lot of visual symbolism in this movie. There are a lot of visual symbolism, a lot of visual metaphors, and a lot of the story is told visually, which I appreciated. There are times it did get a little overbearing and kind of like, okay, we get it. But for the most part, like, it worked. At the very least, like I said before, it does set itself apart, gives its own unique identity within the biopic field. Even though it does follow like a lot of the tropes, there's still like the evil producer, the evil manager,
who was also played by a Game of Thrones actor, like the...
Oh yeah, that was one of the Starks, wasn't it?
Like the evil manager in Bohemian Rhapsody, also played by a Game of Thrones actor.
True. It's just like there's like a curse hovering over all the Game of Thrones cast, where it's like every project after this, except for Lord Stark, apparently just sucks ass. Like, look at poor Peter Dinklage's career during and post Game of Thrones. It's really sad.
He was in 3 Billboards.
True. Yeah, 3 Billboards, but there's so much other crap he's been in. It was like, oh man. And also, let's not forget the first Destiny, which...
What's that?
It's a video game. But he got horribly made fun of because the performance he gave was really bad. Now, granted, to be fair, he also had to say lines. It's not in the final game, but it was a line that got made famous so much that I made T-shirts out of it, where he says like, "That wizard came from the moon."
There has to be a GIF of that somewhere.
Oh, you can probably look up on YouTube. But it was a line that got made so horribly made fun of. They made T-shirts out of it. It got cut out of the final game, and even like his voice got dubbed over by another actor later on.
Why? He has a sexy voice.
Not in Destiny.
Okay.
That was clearly like, I don't give a shit about this. I'm here for the paycheck kind of performance.
All right then.
But yeah, anyway. So yeah, Rocketman. I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. So I feel like this would be a fairly short review, for me at least.
There were parts that really made me cry.
I'm not a big Elton John fan.
I saw him in concert in January. That's where I got this.
Okay, I thought you were on the way to a baseball game. Oh, there you go. I didn't even... Okay, yeah, I'm on board. I'm still waking up. I had to wake up early today.
It's okay. I've been waking up early most days, and I'm going to have to wake up super early next week because the golf snobs are coming to town, and it's going to make traffic a nightmare.
The who of it?
The U.S. Open is coming to Pebble Beach next week.
My sympathies.
Thank you. Tiger Woods is going to be in the next city over from the city that I'm working in.
Yay.
Yay.
Fun. Golf.
But by all means, come. Rich people, spend all your money, then get the fuck out of town.
There you go. That's a spirit.
At Rocketman, another thing worth mentioning is Jamie Bell's performance as Elton's writing partner and lyricist.
Yeah.
That was very good. They have a very good on-screen camaraderie. The scene where Elton is putting music to what was their first hit, Your Song, which in my opinion is one of the best love songs of all time, made me happy cry because it was just so beautiful, and this connection, this brotherly connection between the two of them just felt so palatable on screen in that moment. So that made me happy cry.
Actually, before you get onto that, you mind if I touch on something really quick?
Sure.
That actually brings up a point that I actually want to make. Thank you for reminding me. Is the fact, and again, comparing this to Bohemian Rhapsody, my biggest gripes with that movie is the fact that you knew the lead singer, and that was pretty much it. Like, you didn't get to know anyone else at all in the entire movie. Everyone else was just there, and it was just a Mercury show, and which I thought was really distracting and really kind of annoying. And it was like, well, what about the other band leaders in Queen? They have, like, their emotional beats that come later on that aren't justified because you don't know anything about them. This one actually is inhabited by actual characters, which I appreciated.
And the entire ensemble cast is top notch.
Yeah, and it's like, no, this is a case where I feel like the characters in this movie were much more better defined. They had much more going for them, and everyone, like, you can at least get everyone's deal at the very least, even though they're on screen very, very shortly. Like, there's a very blip part that you can kind of tell that was only there because they needed to have this part of the story in there. But I thought the way that done was actually really smart, where they actually did include Elton John's wife for a brief period of time.
Nada.
Like, I'd say collectively they're on screen together for at most like 5 minutes, something like
Yes.
that. But again, this felt like okay, we have to have this at some point in there because you can't not have the fact that he was married at some point in his biopic.
Married to a woman. He's married to a man now.
Yeah. Which they explained in the post credit.
Yes.
But I thought it was really clever how they did it because they show like the actual marriage or like the aftermath right after they get married, and then they show like some time later. And again, I thought it was very clever how they managed to convey basically the entire story of their marriage without having to go into it at all.
Yes.
In a very, very effective scene where, and again, it's all told visually, which again, like scenes like this, like, okay, this scene is there's a lot to respect about the way they tell the story, is the fact that they don't say a word. They get out of their own separate rooms, they go down, they just sit across from each other, don't say a word to each other, they slowly get their breakfast ready. And Ellen John just, like, there's a long pause. Ellen John just, I'm sorry. And she just goes, I know. And instantly you know the entire story. Which, again, like, I thought that was very, very clever. And there's visual story cues like that. And honestly, I felt like there was more like this. I would like this movie more. Because it was very subtle. It wasn't on the nose. And it wasn't, like, overtly explained to you.
It's a prime example of show, don't tell.
Yeah, which the movie does. Now, granted, to be fair, it doesn't indulge too much in like overt explaining, but there is one scene towards the end. I was kind of like, okay, I get it. This is going on. Like, you didn't really need this. This is kind of over the top. Which is the last group therapy scene, where they have like the haunted by ghosts and music pass sequence.
That scene actually made me cry because I can relate to having to confront those issues.
Fair enough. So I mean, this is like a different scene affect different people differently. For me, I was more like, okay, again, I'm not saying like it was bad to have a scene there. I just didn't. I guess at that point, it felt to me like here's the moral of the story scene. Which
it basically was. Yes. Yeah. So, I'll concede that. I guess it was too on the nose for you.
Yeah. Which, if it wasn't for you, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna try to take that away from you at all.
Yeah.
But for me, I was kind of like, okay, I didn't say even when you say it's bad, it is more just like, this is a case where I felt like show, don't tell would have been better applied. You can still do that similar theme without having to have Elton John blatantly explain the point of each character through the story.
I respect that.
And have him literally hug his inner child. It's like, okay, I kind of get it, movie. We can move on now. Because, and maybe, again, wouldn't really stand out, except for I can't talk today. Maybe that wouldn't be such a problem for me if that wasn't the only scene that just openly does that to that extent. Mm-hmm. So to me, it stood out more. But yeah, like I said, that's just my opinion. If it wasn't your takeaway, I respect that fine. Like, I can see there's value in it.
I thought that, well, like I said, I got more out of that scene than you did, since it kind of was a continuation and culmination of the other motifs used throughout the film.
True, I mean, like, I get its purpose in the narrative, and I get its purpose in the movie. It's more like I would have preferred it if they showed it rather than explain, you, that character, this is what you contribute to this story. You, this character, this is what you taught me in my story. And you, other character, this is your point in my story.
That said, Bryce Dallas Howard did a very...
Bryce Dallas Howard's very good.
Effective job as a cruel, withholding mother.
I don't know. the credit for that one still goes to the dad, who's just a dick.
He's a total dick. Some people should never have children, and the way that particular father character acted is one of those people. That type of man should never have children.
And like that was the case where I feel like it might have been a little. You can argue it was a little on the nose, but I still like to me like I kind of told you everything you need to know. It's just when Elton goes, "When are you going to hug me?" I was like, Jesus, hug your fucking child.
Seriously. Another thing that I liked was how the musical numbers were Elton songs, except for Pinball Wizards, which
Which one was that one?
The Shore plays a mean pinball when he's on the rotating stage.
Oh, okay. Is that one? I thought that was Rocketman.
Ever since I was a young man. Da, 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 da.
Oh, okay.
That's from the Who musical Tommy. So except for that one, all of the other songs were Elton and Barney's work.
Now you'll know some more Elton John fans. Sorry, I mean to interrupt you. Were there songs made exclusively for this movie, or were they all Elton John songs?
They were, except for Pinball Wizards. They were all Elton John songs. Oh, that actually reminded me of something else that I wanted to touch on. I was intrigued at kind of the order that they put some of the songs in. Mm-hmm. One of the songs they used pretty early on in the film when we're still with young Reginald Dwight, which is Elton John's birth name, in case you're watching this and you didn't know, was his song "I Want Love." That's from Elton John's Songs of the West Coast album, which came out in the early 2000s. The music video has Robert Downey Jr. lip syncing the song. Mm-hmm. It was before he became Iron Man. It was credited as one of the stepping stones to help reignite his career. So I found it interesting that they use that song that came so much later in Elton's career at the beginning of the story. So that was intriguing. Another change or slight alteration that they made. One of my favorite Elton John songs is Benny and the Jets. And they do that song kind of when he's at the peak of his excess of drug use. And they remixed it and made it more menacing. The actual song is much more melodic and less kind of pounding than how it's portrayed in the film.
Okay.
So I thought that was an interesting change. What else did I want to talk about? I really liked the transitions. This movie is very colorful and smooth, which
well, like I said, that kind of goes into. Sorry, you want to finish your sentence there? I cut you off again.
It's fine.
Okay. I'm trying to get better at that. And that goes back to the visual identity the film has, and then that comes with blending the biopic genre with the classical Hollywood musical genre, and the fact that a lot of this movie does have a lot of expressing emotion through song, which again is kind of refreshing for a musical biopic.
It is.
Rather than here's a concert, and here's back to regular drama. All right, then concert again.
And
Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm sorry. I thought the movie was okay when I first saw it, but then the more I think about it, the more I was like, yeah, that movie sucked.
My mom really liked it, but she didn't know the inaccuracies like I did in it. And one thing that I really didn't like about Bohemian Rhapsody, which thankfully Rocketman does not do, I mean, Rocketman shows Elton John the good, the bad, and the unflattering, but it doesn't go out of its way to bash his character. They take artistic license with the facts, as most biopics do, but they don't badmouth or bash Elton John at the expense of anyone else. Whereas Bohemian Rhapsody, I kind of feel like it was sort of a little bit of a revenge fantasy from the other members of Queen.
I can see that.
To bash Freddie Mercury a little bit on screen.
I can totally see that,
And that really, at least as far as that film and that musical biopic is concerned, that really left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see where you come from on that. And in parts, it was more like that movie wanted to have it both ways, where he was a musical visionary and a musical genius, but he was also a pain in the ass to work with. And it kind of wanted to have both ways while picking neither, and it was kind of annoying in that regard.
Yeah, it was inconsistent.
And that was really the Bohemian Rhapsody in a nutshell. The fact that it didn't have any characters, didn't have any arcs, didn't have a real plot or purpose. It just kind of meandered from some concert scene to concert scene. This movie does not have the problem. This one does have definitely a clear narrative.
It's much smoother.
A clear point. It feels more confident in its directing, and cinematography and choreography. And again, it feels like this one had a clearer idea of what it wanted to be. And that really helps it a lot more than it did Bohemian Rhapsody. Even though this one probably won't win as many awards as Bohemian Rhapsody but
because it came out earlier in the year.
Yeah, but and better actors, quite frankly, I'm gonna say.
Much.
Yeah.
Much. I mean, hell, if Rami Malek can win an Oscar for lip syncing, then why the fuck can't Taron Egerton win one for actually singing and dancing and acting?
And Malek, to be fair, Malek did a good job as Mercury.
He did,
I don't want to discredit his performance, because it was a lot of energy for a nothing script. That's really the problem at Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, there's a reason why it won Best Editing, because the editing saved whatever story there was.
Did it though?
As much as could be salvaged, anyhow.
I mean, maybe the concert scene, sure, but but yeah, actually, the actual editing. The actual editing for that film's a goddamn mess.
And yeah, they won an Oscar for Best Editing.
Oh, trust me, that pissed off Twitter pretty hard.
Oh, good. I wasn't the only one.
No, you should have seen, there's so many of, bitch, really? Going on. Granted, it doesn't take much to get Twitter angry, but still. But no, in this one, you can definitely say everyone's pretty much, especially Taron Egerton is acting their fucking ass off.
Yeah.
And again, Taron Egerton, who really does feel like he is giving a lot of his heart and blood, sweat, and tears into this film. You can tell he cared a lot about this film, and to the point where even if it was a weaker script, it still would have elevated the material.
And apparently, again, people on Twitter were unhappy when he was cast, because he was a straight man playing a gay man, but he responded very cleverly, I thought, but by saying, I don't want to play people who are just like me.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get controversy with things like that, and sometimes, there's always a hint of validity, I feel like, to a certain extent with it. That one's kind of one of those things that we haven't really decided how to deal with that yet. That being said, if it's a good performance, it's a good performance.
Exactly, and this really is.
So, I mean, that's also saying, every time a Batman gets cast, everyone always loses their goddamn mind. So
that kind of reminds me of a GIF or something I saw online about Robert Pattinson being the worst vampire ever. It took him
10 years to become a bat. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
That was clever.
Brad Pitt is actually a pretty good actor, so
he's been making good choices lately.
I mean, honestly, he hates Twilight more than his more than the people who hate it do. So
yeah, after the last one wrapped, a member of the media asked him, "Did you take anything from set?"
My dignity.
Yes.
Wait, is that what he actually said?
Yes.
Oh, I just made that up. Okay.
No, that's what he actually said.
All right, cool. Yeah. No, but that's a whole different topic. But no, overall, I think I've said everything I could think of to say. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
I think I touched on most of it. It's a musical. It's superbly acted. It's superior to Bohemian Rhapsody in ways that we've gone over. Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing.
Yeah, like I had fun with it.
I did too.
It was fun. Music's catchy, story's good, actors are good. For a biopic like this, and it's visually interesting. So, like, for a movie like this, it's really the best you can hope for.
It is, and it, while it falls into some of the tropes and cliches of other ones, it does a few things differently enough that you'll appreciate it.
And you know, it's a sad thing. This is going to be a really sad thing to say, but I'm kind of curious what the biopic's going to be after Elton John dies. It's a sad thought to think about. I'm not indulging in it. That being said, I'm also very curious about the crazy shit he said no to.
Well, he's releasing a book later this year. If you really want to, you could read more about his life.
True, possibly. All right, I see you wrote your trailers down.
Yes.
All right. I did not take notes because I didn't think I was going to talk about it, but go ahead.
These were the only trailers I got. So I got Blinded by the Light, which is...
Which one is that one?
An immigrant young man, I'm guessing from India or Pakistan, becomes a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Oh, right, the Beatles one. Yeah.
Not the Beatles one.
When that was yesterday.
That's the next trailer I got.
Oh, okay.
Which.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about now. Okay. Yeah, the one the guy becomes a Bruce Springsteen fan, and then he apparently turns into a cultural pariah.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Okay. That could go either way, honestly.
It could. Then I got Yesterday, which
could also go either way, honestly.
It could. I mean, it's kind of unfathomable to think about people not knowing who or what the Beatles were, and then seeing someone completely unrelated basically usurp their career after the fact. So it's kind of an alternative universe type take on it.
I mean, as parents, I assumed. That being said, if you wake up in a world that doesn't have Queen anymore, you're like, all right, and if no one else is going to use it.
Even though it's plagiarism, but okay.
Is it, though? Because, again, it's a different universe. They don't technically exist. So is it really plagiarism or just accommodating?
That's a major philosophical debate. Right there.
For your alt-universe fans.
Yes. Then I got Gemini Man. This is the second time I've seen this trailer.
Oh, yeah, the Will Smith movie.
I'm thoroughly unimpressed. It looks
That's an Ang Lee film, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
It looks boring and unintriguing, and after seeing the trailer twice now, I have no reason why I should care about these characters or this plot.
I mean, that's a wait-and-see movie for me. Like, I'm not willing to dismiss it out of hand, because whether you like Ang Lee movies or not, you can at least say they're different.
They are different. It just looks really boring.
And also like an Ang Lee film. Hulk asks philosophical questions about one's existence by looking deeply at desert log.
Pretty much.
Then have scene where Tankhead hit Hulk's balls. That happens. You can look it up.
Okay, then. It's been a while since I've seen Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
I remember liking it okay.
It is not aged well.
I'm sure.
It wasn't aged well when it started. Anyway, so go ahead.
The last trailer I got was Terminator Dark Fate. And
oh, yeah.
When I realized what franchise it was, I couldn't help myself. I audibly said, oh no.
God damn it, another fucking Terminator movie.
Shouldn't James Cameron be working on the Avatar sequels that he promised us 10 years ago?
No, he's a George R. Martin of Hollywood. Avatar 2 is coming, guys. It's coming. It'll be ready soon. It's coming. It's good.
Okay.
It's on its way. It's almost here.
Sure.
Except you'll actually want to see George R. R. Martin's next book.
Which
I don't know anyone that wants Avatar 2.
Not really, no. Just corporate America.
Like, I just have to assume they have Sam Worthington on retainer, because I haven't seen his ass in a long time.
Me neither, come to think of it.
Like, the last one movie I think he did was that weird Jesus movie, The Cabin.
Oh, yeah. I remember the trailer for that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't bother seeing it.
Neither did we. I think, from what I heard, it wasn't very good. Although my parents liked it, I think. Or is it my dad? I have questions.
And those were all the trailers I got.
Yeah, I think mine are more or less the same. Except that with Men in Black International, because I've already seen that trailer enough fucking times.
And that's supposed to be coming out soonish, I guess?
Thank God. Because, like, I'm not even saying the movie just like it's gonna be bad or anything like that, but I've seen that same fucking trailer so many fucking times. Like, it's been in every movie I've seen the past 3 weeks. Not even an exaggeration.
Wow.
Literally every movie I've seen has had the Men in Black trailer with it.
Well, now that Secret Lives of Pets 2 is out, you won't be getting that trailer anymore.
Here's the weird thing. I've been getting that. I've barely seen that trailer, not nearly as much as I've seen the Men in Black trailer.
Wow.
Which for Illumination is a lot of restraint.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I've still seen the trailer a bunch, but not nearly as much.
Okay.
So take that for whatever it's worth. So yeah, I think that's all we really got for Rocketman. So next week is Dark Phoenix, and then Secret Life of Pets 2, which will probably be me and Muha. Yes, it's a very nice hat.
Yes.
You went all out for it. I respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, so next week's gonna be a little on the rough side because Dark Phoenix is not doing well critically.
So my local free newspaper, I read the article title for their review of it, and it made me laugh. The article title for their review was "Solving for X," which made me laugh and kind of say to myself as I was having my iced tea before work yesterday that, because nobody can solve the problem of how to translate one of the best stories in comic book history to the big screen. This is the second attempt. I still like the 90s cartoon Dark Phoenix episodes the best.
Probably still better. Sorry, when you said solving for X, I just had this that clip from the Dark Phoenix trailer. It goes like, "What are we gonna do, Charles? I don't know what to do. Solve for X. You carry the Y. I don't know what to do." It's like, Charles, you're a terrible math tutor.
And yet, in the first...
Now I just imagine teaching a calculus class.
I think in the first X-Men movie back in 2000, he was teaching physics, which is pretty close.
Yeah, if you want to be like, exacerbated, I don't know what to do, it's probably going to be in physics. Because that shit, you literally have to make shit up to solve those problems.
I thought about taking a physics course at community college, and I asked a friend of mine who was a math tutor at the time his thoughts on it, and he asked me, "Do you like word problems?" No. And he said, "Then don't take it. It's a semester of word problems."
That is entirely that. Except at least in like math word problems, there's like a clear like formula to one. Like this one, you have to like pull formulas out of your ass. So like, it's like, well, here's A, B, C. Have you considered pi yet? What? No, I didn't even know that was part of the equation. It is now, motherfucker.
Okay then.
Did you consider this force? We didn't mention it all in the problem. No, fail.
Like,
it's more like if math is like following making the little connecting the lines through the maze to get to the center. Physics is just drawing a line through the entire thing straight to the center. Isn't that cheating? Not in physics.
I thought physics had to follow rules.
It's more like if you learn the basics of the rules, then you kind of pull them out at random, and you hope it works.
Okay. So it's mathematical bullshitting.
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If that analogy helps more.
Yes, it does.
Now we're just talking about math. All right. So I think that's all we got, guys. My meter's run out. So see you guys later.
Bye.